taking place. Hezbollah's chief of the media office there, Mohammed Afif, is speaking now, live in Beirut, in the aftermath of these attacks. Let's listen in.
Lebanese media representatives and those who can be called as activists on the social platform, and how the Lebanese media platform is totally open and prone to the malicious Israeli campaigns in the absence of the relevant regulations, or at least the implementation of these regulations on the media landscape in the Lebanon. At the same time, I seize the opportunity to thank all the media representatives operating in the South, conveying the message and telling the story objectively in the South. I also commend the performance of a number of foreign and Arab journalists who are operating among us, who are paying a heavy price, yet sharing the responsibility with us. At the same time, telling the story of resistance and fortitude. I wouldn't miss this opportunity to draw a comparison between Israel's hegemony and malicious attack on the media landscape. Yet, these media outlets, including the global international media outlets, cannot dare the Israeli censorship, or at least address the Israeli enemy and tell them openly that you are wreaking destruction, killing innocent civilians, killing unarmed, defenseless, innocent civilians. Those media outlets cannot dare to the Israeli military censorship, who are not only launching a malicious campaign against us, yet laying a tight lid on their losses on the field following the successful military operations by resistance. Our country is reeling under Israeli aggression, yet it is regretful to see some Lebanese media outlets reporting the Israeli story without vetting, adopting the Israeli rhetoric without due auditing, reporting and circulating, some of them even carrying the threats and statements made by the Israeli chief of staff, and even carrying the statements of the Israeli occupation forces live on air, even sometimes with translation that can per se carry out a psychological warfare, and not only that, but also carry a misleading, malicious campaign against the resistance movement, the Lebanese people, and their allies. And above all, they continue to instigate the people against the resistance movement. Again, regretfully, very few media outlets are adopting these practices. This is shameful. Yet the government is not moving a finger. The Information and Media Ministry is not even taking any action. Simply, the same applies to the National Media Council. The excuse is always that the state is not incapable, yet the excuse is it is all called freedom of expression. What freedom of expression? Those who are called, falsely called, media activists to post certain names of towns and villages and certain buildings, stating that these are home to resistance leaders. Is it possible to see posts on the social media saying that these towns are home to weapons? This is a direct instigation against the resistance. Is it freedom of expression to incite the enemy against hospitals, civil defense, and paramedics? This intentional preemptive instigation act was taken as an excuse for bombing hospitals like that of the Baptists? Where is the justice minister? Where is the chief prosecutor? Where is the cybercrime bureau? Unfortunately, all are absent. No one is acting. I seize this opportunity to brief you and thank you, representative of the media, in these dire moments. I even thank you for taking the risk to show up to this press conference. The Israeli enemy continues to bombard the southern part, Al-Dahya, and behind me, where we are holding this press conference, is a living example of what is happening as the Israeli continue to bombard residential areas and kill innocent civilians, raising a false pretext that these are home to weapons or weapons depot. The Israeli even are targeting the Al-Dahya with bombs, ticking bombs, under the pretext that these are weapon depot. Above all, they impede and deny the civil defense and paramedics access to the areas as the Israelis continue to bombard and target paramedics and ambulance with the collusion of the United States and the malicious role played by the American ambassador. The United States is held liable, together with the American ambassador, for this massacre and the destruction suffered by the residential homes, the killings, and above all, the targeting of paramedics. It is not only a crime against humanity, but also it is a war crime. But who is to hold the Americans liable? The aggression on the beloved Beirut of yesterday is nothing but a series of the condemned crimes of the enemy, as a result of which many of the civilians were killed under the false allegations and untrue pretext. The aggression on the United Nations forces, premises, and personnel in the south is an act that is duly condemned. Yet we question the role of the United States and the United Nations and the international community, apart from some shy statement of condemnation. The whole world is turning a blind eye to the crimes perpetrated by the Zionist Israeli enemy. Even their statement in the middle of the United Nations hall and in the before the eyes of all the members who did not even move a finger. Have we forgotten that a number of the United Nations personnel were killed under the banner of the United Nations in the Qana massacre in 1996? It is not the United Nations or the international law that will deter the enemy. It is the resistance. We have been reiterating that targeting Tel Aviv is nothing but the tip of the iceberg. What happened in Haifa, Naharia, and Zafar over the past few days prove that we are still at the beginning. And to the enemy, I say, you have seen nothing but the tip of the iceberg. Fourth, on the battlefield, namely on the southern part of the fighting front, and based on our firm faith in our resistance fighters, I assure you that the resistance movements and fighters are well and fine, and I tell you verbatim, without any improvisation, the resistance is fine, maintaining the right to exercise what it can, at what time, according to the circumstances on the battlefield. Our strategic reservoir is fine. Thousands of martyred, suicidal resistance fighters are lined up, ready and prepared to defend our homeland. prepared to fight in sacrifice for all our sacrifice to the Lebanese. As we speak, the enemy is not able to advance, with the exception of very few cases. Their tanks are still stationed behind the lines. And if you have heard, and this message is to you, the media representative, and to the resistance fighters, if you heard or seen some of the enemy soldiers in one village or another, or an old, outdated picture of them in one of the tunnels, do not falter, simply because we know what we are doing. The resistance movement is maintaining all its capabilities and fighting with flexibilities according to the circumstances as they unfold on the battlefield. Continue to set up ambushes and move from offensive to the defensive as the enemy started to slowly and gradually admit their losses. As a result, the enemy is now reconsidering and recalculating their moves on the battlefield. However, I would like to convey the message given to me by a very senior command on the forefront. Our resistance fighters refuse to retreat from the positions considered by the resistance leadership as the fallen points. Yet our fighters refuse to retreat simply because they have a firm conviction that they must continue to fight in defense of their people and homeland. Fifth, it is widely reported on the local media outlets, some TV news stations, those namely instigating the people against the resistance. The same media outlets, this is their editorial policy and ideology. They are not having any impact on the Lebanese people. They are only having impact on their...
You've been watching a live press conference there by Mohammed Afif. He is the head of Hezbollah's media office. As you can see, he's giving that press conference at the site of one of the Israeli army's most recent attacks on a central location in Beirut, in which at least 22 people we know have been killed. A clear show of defiance and anger at what he described as Israel's aggression. He said that Hezbollah would remain committed to resistance and fortitude. He condemned the attacks on civilians and the attacks on UNIFIL, UN peacekeeping forces on the Lebanese southern border with Israel. And also he said that thousands of suicide attackers are poised to defend their homeland if it comes to it. Resistance, he said, has maintained all of its capabilities. Dorsa Jabbari, who's in Beirut, has been listening into all of that as well. Dorsa, I don't know what you make of that, but a clear show of defiance. The fact that they have stage managed this as they have at the site of the most recent attack, that huge bomb crater behind them. I mean, this is a location the Israeli army will know exactly where it is, having just attacked it. What did you make of this? What sort of message do you think Hezbollah was trying to convey here?
Well, I think the message here is twofold. One, that the resistance is not falling apart, that they're not going to be dismantled as a result of the continuous airstrikes and attacks by Israel that's been carried out, not only in the southern front, but also in the capital, Beirut. But I think also interesting, he took a lot of time to attack certain local and international media outlets who he accused of trying to sow division within the Lebanese society. He said that they are trying to highlight any kind of differences of opinions between the Lebanese nation and the different groups that exist within Lebanese society, and they're trying to turn the people against the resistance movement. And he said, where is the government to stop this? This is not freedom of the press. He said the Lebanese government has not lifted a finger to try and prevent this kind of behavior by the media. Very harsh words for certain media outlets in Lebanon, as well as international organizations. The message he had was that it's not going to work. Whatever you're trying to do, we see right through it, and the Lebanese people will as well. He said that the resistance movement will continue. The divisions that people are trying to create, as well as Israel, they are trying to basically take advantage of the divisions within Lebanese society and exploit those differences that people have here, is not going to work, and it's actually a crime that they should be held accountable. He pointed the finger at media outlets for taking a front row role in all of this. He said that it is up to the Lebanese government to try and prevent this from happening. And he also said that whatever we've seen on the front lines in southern Lebanon is only the tip of the iceberg. Very defiantly saying that the organization has really not shown its complete hand in terms of what it's capable of with its military capabilities, and that they are ready and still going to be defending their country.
Yeah, interesting point, Dorsa, that he did prioritise at the first part of what we listened into, this criticising of the Lebanese media, suggesting that they were in some way responsible for perpetuating Israeli propaganda in terms of their understanding of exactly what's going on, and indeed Hezbollah's capabilities. We will, of course, monitor that ongoing press conference and bring you any more details if anything pertinent comes to light. For now, though, Dorsa, many thanks for that. Dorsa Jabbari in Beirut.